All right. Think ads are done. Hi, everybody. How are you doing? My name is Bear. I'm barely watercoloring. Uh, and I'm gonna do my best to be a tiny bit more organized. Oh, that's funny. Anyway, I'll do the best I can. Uh, how's everybody doing today? It's a good day. It's Thursday. Everything seems to be doing well for me. It's the end of the day, so I can't complain. Oh, I forgot to change over to chat on this one. I guess I don't need to because I have it open here. Whatever. Where should know that? Okay, don't sing. Nobody wants to hear you sing. Okay. I can turn that down. Ooh. Oh, nice. I'm playing with the settings in Meld Studio. It's the streaming program I use instead of OBS. And they're always adding new features because it's still a fairly new program. And they added some new chat options now that make it easier to read and let you see all the redeems and all that kind of stuff in it now. That's kind of nice. All right. Well, anyway, hello. So what I did on Monday, well, I have one put up already, but I mainly did this. I started on this kind of a space nebula abstract. A couple areas you can see clearly have salt on it. I just brushed it off a minute ago. So that top left pink purple one had some salt. And this guy here in the middle, that's kind of tie-dyed one, that one had some salt on it. You can see how that came out. And then this guy also had some salt on it as well. And the rest of them were just some color blends. Like the first layer, that one had 2 layers. And I have a bunch of other gaps to fill. So I'm going to work on filling in these other gaps of white here. And then I'll probably go back over to the top left on any that need a little more love. And we'll add some more to that. Let that dry. Add some stars and dry it all off and then peel everything. And if we have time after all that, I have a plan to work on trying to make snowflakes for the first time, which I've never done. I looked at a couple of videos on YouTube earlier to try to get an idea of how you do it. We'll try it again if we get that far, but we have to get started on this and finish it. Wow, there's a nice breeze coming in from outside. My window's open over here, so it's pretty like when there's a breeze, I feel it. It's kind of nice. Cold, but nice. All right. Anyone that's new here, hello. If we haven't seen each other or you just want to lurk, that's fine. Hang out. If you want to add any music to the queue, you can do that by hitting !SR space and then the song title and the you don't have to, but if you want to specify the singer, you can do that, especially if there's multiple people that did it. And there's no limits to that. No real limits. I think I have like a maximum of 100 things in the queue that's allowed. So feel free to play any music you want within reason, of course. I'll try to keep it quiet, and if it's too loud, I'll just turn it down or off. All right. So let's see what we're gonna do. I'm truly just doing randoms. Again, I do have a future plan to do realistic, real nebulas as much as I can. I will want to go through and I'll be getting some demos, or not demos, examples. There's a word for it that I'm looking for that my brain is basing on references, reference photos. That was so hard. I'm going to build up a queue of reference photos and I'll put the name of what that spatial feature, galaxy, nebula, whatever, is in the corner of it. And then I'm going to create a grid using my really large paper. Let me bring this over so you can see how large this is. My A3 size paper. I'm going to use some of this and I'll, yeah, see, it's just a massive piece of paper compared to this. This is 9x12 down here. So I'm going to make a grid. I don't know what size yet, but I'm going to make a grid using this same narrow, like 1/4-inch tape, and just do a huge grid, however many I can fit realistically. And I'm going to make a bunch of micro nebula or micro space features. So we can do both nebula and galaxies inside of it. And I'm going to use those references and be as accurate as I can in small scale, because in small scale, I can get away with it, right? If I don't do it perfectly. And that way I'll have one large collage of actual places, actual space, instead of just my random BS that I create on my own. So I think that'll be really cool, but that's a project for another day. Um, but it's on my list. I just have to get started finding my source material. So I'll do that. All right. Enough yapping. Let me go ahead and find the brush that I want to work with today. I think I will pick a nice round brush. This is a Princeton Heritage size 6 round brush. A little used. I uh, I am very heavy with indigo, and you can tell because it stains everything, no matter how well I clean it. So one day I'll replace these if it becomes a problem, but for now it works brilliantly, so I'm not going to mess with that. I do need to fix some of my brushes though. They're after cleaning them, they get that weird stiff, like, bedhead thing, and then when you mess with it and flick it, it softens up the bristles again. I actually didn't do that after the last time I cleaned them. All right. Let's get some water on our palette to wet it down. Let me scoot that up a little bit. We spray water on our palettes to activate the pigment so that when we go to it, we don't have to scrub for a million years to get anything on the brush. All right. I'll give that a sec. Let me actually grab a bigger brush. This is a 12, 16, size 16 round brush. And you can tell, same problem, indigo, man, it just stains it to hell. But I'm just going to use this to wet the area inside with clean water. So I can do wet on wet technique and let the colors just kind of flow where they want. The way you are, you're amazing, just the way you are. All right. Let him rest over there. Okay, I leaned really hard on yellows, so I need to pick some other colors. I didn't do a great job contrasting. I think when I go back over some of these, I'm gonna have to really mess with that and add some colors that offset a little bit. So let's think. I've got some reddish orange right here. I've got blue. I've got green. I have more blue and purple here. I could probably go a purple. Well, no, I got purple right there. More like a tan kind of color, and shift it to something else, maybe like a tan and a red. I've kind of got that there, though, don't I? Well, let's just play and see what we can find. I don't have all of my colors memorized, by the way, but I do have them on a sheet should I need them right here. This is my current palette. I have everything swatched out and named, including the brand. I do need to refill my palette. I was going to do that earlier, but I can do that in a bit. So if you're curious about a color that I'm using, just ask and I'll pull that chart out and we'll compare it so you can see what it looks like. All right. All right. Let's play with that orangey color. Just a residue that's in my palette over there. Okay. Let's hit a more pure orange and just dab in a couple spots and just get a lot of brighter color in there in the first pass, so we're not fiddling with it forever. Maybe a tiny touch of it on top of the reddish area in the middle here. And clean that out. And let me get a little bit more of the red that we're using. A little stronger. And same deal. We'll do, ooh, that's a little bit much on there. I want to get it everywhere and do a little bit in a couple spots. And same thing, we'll do a tiny touch of it in some of the orange bits. So there's a little overlap. Okay. I think that works for that for now. And for fun, let's do a blue to get some space encroaching on that. I'll start with, this is a, be damned. This one is my French ultramarine. Yeah, French ultramarine by Winsor Newton. Another one I need to refill in here. Okay. Get it in the areas that are white first, that I want to have that color coming in. And then I can start going up against the other colors because it's going to start mixing on my brush. You're not my way, baby. Okay. And let's grab some indigo, my favorite staining paint that just gets in everything. And I'm going to add behind some of these blues. Okay. I think that's good for that one. You know, I'm really liking the salt texture. Let's add a little salt. Okay, we'll just go with that. All right, and let's fill in our next area. This one's small, so I'll just use this little brush with 6. I always forget. Yep, say 6. Lesson learned from previous ones, try not to get too close to touching the side where the wet paint is from the neighbors, like I just did, because it's just going to bleed. It's just going to bleed over there. All right. We got a little bit of bleed, but that's okay. We'll play with it. Do some green. I've got some there, but that's fine. We'll put some on this side of it. Some greenish. Get a little right hit of some of the green on that side. Some yellows. Some yellowish color over here. Okay. And then maybe we need something a little stronger in there. Green gold is a nice, good color. Not a lot of room to add it, but we can add it on top in a couple spots and just muddy it up a little bit. Okay. We'll let that dry. You know, after I add a mess of blue for no good reason. Okay. I've already done something in that corner. We need to do all of these. Let me do the opposite small ones. I can get that done as well. But then again, no more man makes potions in the drowning show. No, it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. This one's Dragon's Blood. It's always really pretty. Looks kind of brown, but it's got a really nice, like it says, blood. It's got a nice little bloody kind of texture to it. Now that it's done, we don't know what the time world. How wonderful life is while you're in the world. Kicked out the monk, smooth you. No good person is really got me. White cars. When I wrote this song, it's for people like you that keep this turned on. Hello, Desert. Hey, welcome in. I'm just playing, doing some abstract little nebulas like I like to do. I started on this on Monday. Pretty much here and here. All of these. I just started with these 4 today. I'm sorry, this one's dry. These 3 so far. 4. This one over here. At work and listening. Awesome. Yeah, hang out, have fun. I hope you're having a good evening at work. Does anyone really have a good evening at work? Does anyone ever have a good anything at work? Who knows? It's the truth, right? Truth hurts, man. All right, let's do this one over here. I'm kind of like doing that thing where you're having a little small stuff on your plate before you get to the big part of the meal you enjoy. If you're a person that does that. My dad used to round robin and have small bites of everything on the plate before he looped back around to it. I've always been eat the things I don't like first and then have the best part for last, right? So like breakfast with bacon, I have everything else and then ate the bacon. I don't know why. It's just what I've always done. Got some really strong yellow in here because everything is kind of faded with all the other yellows, which is why I'm going to do another pass on some of them, I think. I want this to be thick with yellow. Take my yellow paint. Okay. Whoops, that was a solid piece of paint that didn't dilute or didn't break down. Get over here. Yeah, that yellow one, that yellow crumbles a little bit. That's kind of interesting. All right. Clean it off. What goes with yellow? Blue. And then they'll make some greenage. Sometimes. Depends on the intensity of the blue. Oh, I'd use that one in a minute. Add some green intentionally to it to try to break it up a little. Okay, that just made it dark. That'll probably be as dark as it gets. In fact, maybe we'll salt that one too, but I'm not going to put it on there directly. I'm going to get a little in my hand and then I'll add it. And spend with you is a momentary treasure. Don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep cause I miss you then. And I don't want to miss a thing. Even when I dream of you. The sweetest dream will never do. I still miss you, babe. And I'm not gonna miss a thing. And dream like this. Dream if it's me you're seeing. Going back to again. I just want to spend with you in this lonely forest. And I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep 'cause I miss you, babe. And I don't want to miss a thing. Even when I dream of you, the sweetest you'll ever do, I still miss you, babe. And I don't want to miss a thing. I want to miss one smile. I don't want to miss one kiss. I just wanna be with you right here with you, just like this. I just wanna hold you close, feel your arms so close to mine, and just stay here in this moment for all the rest of time. Don't wanna close my eyes. I don't wanna fall asleep 'cause I miss you, babe. And I don't wanna miss a thing. Should have let that dry. You, the sweetest dream will never do. I still miss you, babe. Let's lean into it. Don't wanna fall asleep 'cause I miss you, babe. And I don't wanna miss a thing. Mm-hmm. Really need to refill my paint. While they were down to almost nothing. Okay. Red. I hear Reba McEntire. Let's turn her up. Because of you, I never strayed too far from the sidewalk. Because of you, change sides and don't get hurt. Because of you, trust that when you need everyone around me. Because of you, I am afraid. Peanut. Is your world? You should move. And even hold to start with. Because of you, I've strayed too far from the sidewalk. Independence and the same something don't get worried. Because of you've been everyone around me, because you've been not afraid. For the same day. You straight to the place I want. We're coming to get the road. You really wanna well, you besides of you. I am afraid. All right, same deal. We'll salt this one up. We'll really salt this one up. Okay. Let's get that salt out of the undone areas. There we go. I don't understand. Why does it have to suck so hard? It's like last time I played, I decided to cut off partway through. So now you've come back. I'm starting where I left off instead of from the beginning like it should. Woof. Swing my breath. Carols from mountain throws from the sky. Never will you there to have. Tell me what to do. Cause I know with the trappings of love. To baby, I had always it hangs on the bell. And now you're crying shoulder. I'll be my single side. I want you to pay the one hold on. And when you follow this, everyone that's in the world is moving my way to my back and I'm so proud. Why away from cold, why doesn't lie and not take care? Tell me, I believe that we belong together and when there's a well with the trappings I draw. You can't debate it. And from your lips, and from the power, and I'll be your crying shoulder. I'll be on your side, and I'll be better when I'm older. I'll be the penis hand of your life. I fought when we down from the dead. To love, remember everything that you said. And I've seen side on I'll be Greatest fan of you. Ah, yeah, see, it's all, I don't want to say it's granulated. It's just this yellow just doesn't, it doesn't break apart very well when it gets down to the bottom like this. Uh, just have to mix it better, I think. I'm just thinking about tomorrow. Maybe play the cobwebs and the sorrow. Till there is done. Stop with the day. That's great. And lonely. To confide you and you. And it's we're on our sun mount tomorrow. And night to tomorrow. I want tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. There is a day I lay. Just lonely, and myself and I tomorrow. I want to tomorrow. I'll be smiling. All just thinking about tomorrow. Say the cobwebs, never sorrow. There's noon. And stop with the day. That's great. And Monday, watching and the great said, and it was fine for now. Tomorrow, so you gotta hang out till tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow, tomorrow. I want tomorrow. Was I tomorrow? We get cut. We get cut. It's a hard of life for us. But you get flipped. Sad kisses we get give. I look funny. I love tomorrow. There's no day away. No, I'll tomorrow. Limit. Okay. Oh, my. Just adding a little extra colors from some of these previously done ones to brighten up some of it. Like the sound, mind. You cannot ignore it. Right outside the door. Green. You need some of me. Well, I did it. Passion shining. It's just a being. It's being it. Right. And you and I. And you didn't come my way. Down the line. The 2 times. Share my cup with me. Excuse me. Yep. There it goes, doing what it wants. Me. Fantastic name. That's for sure. No. And I know what they say. And I love it. Just another way. No, what they say. You're not your friend. Night will end. The DJ plays. I'm not care. It's been a way. Just pain. It's been a way. I know what they say. It's been a way. Whoa. All right. Hopefully it'll be okay. I just had to take a tiny little power blip. Everything's fine, but we'll see. If I disappear, that's why. It's the night away. It's the night away. I know what they say. It's the night away. It's sad. It's the night away. No matter what they say. Night away. It's the night away. It's the night away. It's the night away. No matter what they say. Baby, 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 I think you should know. Last time this How are you? How Yeah, well. You're more good. Light mess. Anytime I do stars, they get everywhere. Soon off in the ground, I'm losing touch. Am I happy or just feeling I should be? Time's passing through me while I'm stuck. Back to the simple days in those sunny gardens. I'm going to go ahead and mute, and I'm going to use my heat gun on this to help dry up the rest of the salty and wet areas. All right. I try to get the salt off. The world will get just comment. With me, not five years, but you. We're getting against it. I don't feel good on evening, but this was it. No time wasted. You. There we go. King is calling. I want you to get it. I'm with nobody else but me. Nobody else but me. Get a little bit, gang is calling. Don't want you to get it. I'm with nobody else but me. Making my mind, but I don't know myself. I don't know myself. Gonna go ahead and add some more stars to it now. We're gonna go dark ones and then light ones. Making my mind, but I don't know myself. Oh, I don't know myself. Get a little bit, can just calling. Don't want you to get it on with nobody else to win. Nobody else but me. Nobody else but you. Park like if I do something else, get overwhelmed. Alright, let me dry the black stars really quick. And we do send the next thing I can use it. Not sooner than the young. Now some other film, city production, in candy. And it's a guidance. Right. So for the black, I used with the dark stars, I used my indigo because it's so dark that it'll be fine as stars that are made from watercolor. White, on the other hand, uh, white is different. If you're doing stars, it's best to use either an acrylic or a like a gouache, something that's a bit more thick, opaque, not transparent, which is the opposite of watercolor. But for stars, I found to be use a white watercolor and make stars with it. They end up transparent. Sometimes though, that's good. Um, Sometimes you can do the white watercolor on something before you dry it and use an acrylic watercolor, and it gives that effect kind of like stars are slightly out of focus, like just behind the stars that are in the foreground. But that doesn't really work in space because effectively to the camera, everything's the same distance away, right? But if that's the look you're going for, you can do it. If you're looking for like sparkles or something, some sort of like a sparkly kind of effect that's more up close to the camera, that can work. I would say that works with anything. If you're trying to flick dots on something using, I probably like fire, like the sparkles from a fire would probably work well doing that, where there's slightly on focus behind it. But the background has to be totally dry. If you put it on there wet, it's just going to bloom and spread, and it's not going to be perfectly circular dots. It's going to be those little starbursts, that it makes when it bleeds. I'm going to add a little water to the acrylic because it's a tiny bit too thick just by itself. And also doing that will make it come off of my brush that I care about. I'm just going to mix that in. And same as I did for the black ones, I'm just going to use my smaller brush on my larger round brush. I'm just going to smack it a couple times. Oops. Well, that's a thing. I'll have to fix that in a minute. I accidentally flipped some on right there, and it would be okay, but it's because it was heading that direction. They're kind of oblong shaped. I'd keep them, I guess. If Goddess were here, she'd love it because it would look like a little almond shaped UFO. Maybe I'll leave it. Um, there's a lot of methods for making stars that I've found that I've used. Using a small brush on a large brush like this, and banging it on there forces the paint to come off the brush, and it lands in a circular splat. So it makes pretty good round stars. Uh, Sometimes it does big ones like you see. Sometimes it does small ones. Depends how much paint you've got on your brush to start with and how directly straight down your smack is. If you want a wider array of a whole lot of small stars, use a toothbrush. You can wet a toothbrush and put it in the same water and acrylic mixture, and then you flick the bristles, and it will make a spray of smaller stars. That works really well. And then when you want to be a bit more deliberate, you can paint the stars directly on, but you have to have a steady hand. I don't. Because it doesn't do great at making perfectly circular stars if you're not quite steady with your painting, with your brush skills, as they say. In fact, I think I might use the toothbrush, a little bit, me clean this off. Nope. If you feel you're going to be a little slow when you're doing stars using a brush, make sure you use one you don't care about, because when that acrylic paint dries in there, it is a nightmare to get out. So use a really cheap brush, or make sure it's watered down a little bit, and make sure you rinse it very thoroughly. If you think you're going to be a while, I would do some stars, rinse the brush off thoroughly, and then go back for more, just to maintain rinsing your brush out. That worked really well. Let me put a little bit on the side of my brush, my big brush here. I'll just use my finger to wipe it down, and then just dry it off really quick. Okay. Grab my toothbrush, and I'm going to wet the toothbrush completely. And then I'm going to tilt this and get some of the white paint along the side of it. I don't want it sopping wet, because you will do what I've done and make a big mistake. And when you go to fling it, a whole lot will be captured in the bristles, and it will come out as a giant blob. And that's not good eats. That doesn't look good. All right. So basically barely anything left in the brush. And I'm just going to flick it. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this. I'll do this triangle here in the center. Let's do this one up here. Yeah, this brown one was really good. Let me do this blue one in the bottommost corner here. This guy. So after you've flicked it a couple times, the paint will start kind of dripping down toward the bottom end where you're hitting it with your thumb first, and it can collect on your thumb and the end of the brush, and you'll get some big drops that come off of it. So just be mindful of that. So I'm just going to kind of hit everywhere with a little bit of fine mist. Really, I only need to load this one time, but you can go back for more if you have a really big dark sky and you want a whole lot of stars, or you want to do like a galaxy. You just kind of do it in the motion, and maybe just repeat that a little bit and get yourself some streaks across the middle, nice and dark, right? And then do a little bit above that horizon, a little bit below, to make it kind of fade and have fewer of them. And then the background, you could probably go higher up and then flick over a larger area. I'll have to experiment with that at some point. I think that seems like a good plan for doing a nice grouping of stars. I'll let that sit in there for a second, and I'll try to dry the stars off my thumb. And the last method I know of that's pretty good for doing stars is using a white gel pen, or whatever kind of white writing instrument that is water resistant. So you can put it down on top of it, and if it gets re-wet by accident, you don't mess up your stars. But I have these white gel pens of 3 different sizes, 0.5, 0.7, I think, and then 1.0. This brand is by Jelly Roll. Come on, focus. There we go. Jelly Roll. Made in Japan. Japan, Sakura. Okay, I don't know why it says Sakura there, but we'll go with it. Maybe that's some line with pens. But yeah, I won't do it on the painting itself. Maybe I'll do it in a minute, but I'll just show you here on the paint on the tape how thick the line is. So this is the 1.0. This next one is 0.8. I'm sorry, not 0.7. I'll do it above it. And then the thinnest one I have is 0.5. And it's a very thin line, right? So what I usually do when I make stars that I want to pop, like kind of like a lens flare, you know what I mean? So you'll have like maybe 3 really important stars that are like the biggest ones on the page. Those might have like a lens flare in them. So you can do kind of like a vertical line, as straight as you can get it. I do a slightly less long horizontal line right through the middle, if I can help it, right? And then I switch to my thinner pen, the next one down, and I'll do the opposing cross lines. So I'll do them short like that, right? And if you really want to go the extra distance, you can go to the thinnest one and you can make adjustments. If you want to say like extend the length of your first line, you could do that. If you want to do additional crosses, even smaller, you could do that too. Whatever kind of design you want for a star. Clearly better than what I did. But if you're very methodical about it and very careful about getting the line, if you're unsure if you're going to be good at it, use a ruler or a straight edge to get that perfect straight line. And that can add a lot of pop to the stars that you've got on there to give them a little hit of like reflection. So let me go ahead and use the heat gun and dry all of this off. And then maybe we can add one of those stars or two. Also looks like ads are starting. So if you are stuck behind ads, I'll be back in about 3 minutes. For everyone else, I'll just be yammering about something. Something. But don't. You. These. Okay. As usual, my stars got everywhere. They're now a permanent part of everything around me. Well, that's fun. That's flavor, I guess. Flavor, character, whatever. All right. Switch that over. Now let's see. So this is the 0.8. This is the 0.5, and this is the 1. We have 18 seconds. I'm gonna have some coffee. All right. You also zoom back out. Okay. Yeah, you can. All right. As they're over, or will be in a second, you can clearly see where I've gotten my stars over everything else around me. So there's a little tiny bit on my heat gun right here. There's some on the table behind me. There's some on my brush right here. It's a little bit over on the side. There's some you can't see. That's in a variety of places. I talk about it a lot, but at some point, because I do stars so damn much, I need to get myself a method to cordon off the zone where I'm going to be doing stars. I need a kind of like one of those science fair like cutout things that's like a back piece and then it has some front panels that fold open. So you get like a U shape. I need something like that so I can put it around the painting area and I can restrict my actions inside of that so I don't spray my paint everywhere. Giggity, I guess. So yeah, that's loads of fun. But I think what I'm gonna do now, I'll go ahead and make like one or two of those manual stars like I talked about, and then we're gonna peel. And maybe like I do sometimes, I'll squeeze a little enterprise in there or something, some sort of starship. I also have some black pens. I've got 5 black pens of varying sizes, but these are from Winsor Newton, with 1.0 down to 0.1. So really fine point to blunt point tip. So I can use that to draw in some small object. So I'll do that in a minute. First, those stars. So I picked out a couple that I think I want to do. One, I'm going to do this guy because he looks like he's just ripe for having a little star put on him. I might do one over here, and then I may do one higher up here somewhere, and then call it from there. So let's be smart about it. Let's grab the ruler like I talked about. And let's try to line up the middle of this star. It might be difficult, but I will try to eyeball it and do a straight line here. That did nothing at all. You can. Also, a downside, sometimes it can sometimes pick up the paint around it, especially if it's not fully dry. So when possible, try to be light-handed with it, and try not to bear down, and try not to do what I just did. Try not to do a bunch of back and forths. I think I'm going to skip the 0.8 and go right to the 0.5 size for the crosses, and I don't need a fluid for that. It's small enough that I can probably just eyeball it. Sometimes I have to get the pen going as well. It might get a little clogged from going over the paint, especially if it's not fully dry yet. Okay. Some little tiny little spikies as well in between. And maybe we'll do some small ones as well. I'll do the guy right here. Barely even noticeable. Just a tiny little reflection. I don't want anything too obscene with it. And let's snag our larger one again and do one up here like I talked about. Does it have to be a lot? Just enough to let you know it's there, all right? And then maybe we'll do a little guy. I'll do this one. Okay. Just enough. Let you know it's there. And the black pens, I will only put these up first so I don't lose track of them. That is a small one. I did that backwards. Smaller to larger. This is 0.5. Boop. This one is the 1.0. Boop. And this one's 0.8. Okay. And I think the starship I think maybe I'll do Voyager, which will be barely barely even present. Let me pick a spot where Voyager will make the most sense. I think maybe I'll do Voyager over here, and I'll try not to mess it up too much. So I'm going to do right here. I'll do a little flat part. Do the little gentle dome shape that it does. Then go down a little bit and back. And then the front part will go down a little and front. And back here, got ourselves some, I guess this isn't really Voyager. It turned out to be just a random ship. It's not Voyager. I think I have to just bring the front of the thing back a little bit and thicken some of this. Tends to go a little higher, and then it swoops down. And then a little bit more straight down for the... Yeah, that's a little bit more Voyager-esque. And then the nacelle is literally just straight in line, so I can't really make it look like it's got a nacelle. So we'll just do that kind of number and leave it alone. Because when it's at warp, the nacelles are up, right? So you can just say that that is what that is. And there we go. Got ourselves a tiny little Voyager. Itty bitty little Voyager. Right there. Just chilling in the corner. Just faked it to make it. Just a silhouette. And let me go ahead and sign it, and then I will peel it. And yeah, I think we're good. Let's go ahead and start peeling. So that's the hard part, figuring out what was on top. I'm gonna have to look real close because I covered everything up with so much star action. Okay, that's one. I did the fun a little bit behind it. Let go! Let go! There we go. All right, and hopefully I pressed my tape down hard enough to begin with. That's a problem sometimes where if I don't press the tape down hard enough, some of the paint will seep underneath, right? And that doesn't look quite so good. It's not the end of the world, but it doesn't always look great when all of your crisp lines you worked so hard to do a tape don't work out, right? That one looks like it's good. Let's do this one next. Also, because of the structure of the paper, being watercolor paper and being water absorbent, sometimes even though the top feels like it's dry, the inside of the paper might not be. So either wait until like a few hours have passed to let it dry naturally before you peel, or use a heat gun, or once you've done all of those other things, just be gentle with pulling your tape off. Don't just yank it because you rip the paper. And the angle I'll show on the blue ones here that you pull the paper is important too. But let's do the green ones and then we'll talk about that. Okay, that's over the top. That's over the top. So let's do this one. All right, so far we're doing good on our little cross tape here. That one looks good. How are we doing on time? An hour and a half? We might be able to get started on the snowflake. We'll see. Nope, that one, I got a little bit of paint got underneath it right there. That's okay. Worst case scenario, since the background is white, the paper is white, we can cover up our mistakes with some white acrylic. And it will cover that right up. Sometimes I can use the pen, but that doesn't really look that good because if I go back and forth over it, it runs a trough in the paper. that one next. Do this one. And then that one, and then that one, and then that one. Okay, so we'll do this guy next. Okay. Let go. Give me back my finger. Okay. Now let's do this one. And then this little guy. Hey, got us. You didn't miss completely. Now you're fine. I missed you on Tuesday. I'm sorry about that. I've absolutely slammed at work and I couldn't dip in and take a look. But my other half was there. He said he dipped in and said hi. Yeah. So it looks like there's only a couple spots that really need some touch up. You can see them in between. Right here. There. And there. I need to go over with some white paint at some point. But everywhere else looks pretty well covered up. It was just those 3 spots. So I will go over that in a bit. And also right there, it looks like. But yeah. Yeah. You didn't see it? It did Little Voyager. Yeah. Let's go ahead and peel the painter's tape on the outside edge. So the part that I was talking about there, when you're peeling tape from the outside edge of your painting, make sure to pull away from your paper. So I like to go at nearly a 45-degree angle like that, so you can see, right? Or slightly this direction. Don't peel this way. Don't peel toward the painting, because you can grab the edge of the paper and it'll start peeling back a layer of it. If you peel this direction, it wants to peel away from the page, and it does a much cleaner pull to try to do that. For stars, you can do anything you want. You can do all white, you can do off-white, you can do yellow. You can do like I did and do a combination of both black and white. That way, the ones that are dark have light stars on them and the dark ones, but the light ones help bring it forward. The black stars on a lighter colored one help look like they're stars or objects, meteors, rocks, asteroids, whatever you want to call it, in the way, in between. Planets, could be anything, right? Black holes, could be anything you want to imagine it can be. And it gives it some different texture when you alternate between the black and the white. But you can do like white stars for majority, and then you can put like off-white, do off-white towards star colors, do off-white blue, do an off-white yellow, do a very faint off-white red, like for red supergiants and hypergiants, right? There's even green stars, so you can do like the very thin, very small amounts of some green ones as well. Very lightly green, but mostly white. And that way you've got like a variation of your star colors. There's even brown dwarfs, right? So brown, orange, like most of the colors in the spectrum can be star colors as well. And yeah, that came out really well. Then, they always look like a hot mess before you peel them, and they look so much better once they're done. Isn't that amazing? I'm telling you, if I ever want to feel proud about making a painting, it's doing Nebula. Even if they're completely fake, they always end up looking great. They may not look like real Nebula, but they look like Nebula that are done in like science fiction, or even in like comic strip. Comics, they tend to over exaggerate and oversaturate things too. So Yeah. No, I'm very happy with how that one came out. Looking good. Reminds me kind of like the bookmark one we did. I have it down here. It's in a frame, so you're going to see the reflections from everything. But this one is still over here, right there. I'll tilt it that way so you can see it a little better, or I'll get it above the light so you can see how that one came out. These were supposed to be bookmarks, and they can be still. I'll scan them and figure out a method to do that. So I'll scan them in, stitch it together in Photoshop, color correct anything. And then my goal is to reprint them on an inkjet printer, like an Epson, on A3 paper, same size this is, and then cut those out and then feed them through a laminator. That's the word. I was lost trying to find that. A lamination machine to laminate the bookmarks, and that'll make them saleable. And I'll still have the original that I can keep in the frame. And I want to do more of these. Some will be space. Some might be plant life. Some might be rocks. Some might be abstract. And then I'll have like a collection of these shapes, these paintings on this size paper, and they'll all kind of fit together because of the shape, even though the subject matter will be different. So I like the idea of keeping this by itself. And it also looks really good in vertical format as well. I really like that. It looks even better like this, I think. It makes me very happy seeing it like this. It looks like it should be like backgrounds behind the heading of like websites, right? Like banner images. If they were wider, I think that would work really nicely too. All right, I'll put that one up. And just something here. Return from whence you came. All right. So yeah, that one came out really good. I only have about 20 minutes left, so if anything, I may do a practice snowflake. Let me. Yep, don't fall. Grab some coffee still, got plenty. Oh, I realized I have the sound all the way down to stop the music, but it's also stopping me from hearing the chirps from everything. So I'm just going to close the music tab. So that's not going to play anything. Jesse came in and said, hi. Oh, I like the larger starburst. Beautiful. And you got a sort of stylized pentacly thing in there almost, which I like as well. Geez, the season where 6 p.m. feels like 9 p.m. No freaking kidding, right? It feels super late, but that's fine. I like it light. I like it dark. Neither one of those bothers me. Oh, Oh, my other half told me that you had issues getting the sound effect thing to work on your chat. So if you want to work on that at some point, just let me know and we'll try to figure it out. We'll compare my settings to yours and see where it's going stupid, and then we'll get it going. Shouldn't be too bad. It could even be as simple as in your browser source in OBS, you have to enable audio for the browser source so that the audio will pass through. But it's possible you're doing that already if you have any sort of like alerts going through there. I think you switched to using alerts through Twitch. So Twitch and Stream Elements are different. So you may want to make sure the audio is enabled there. Yeah. You got to everything except it wouldn't let you drag and drop the OGG file. OGG is an audio file. Does it say it supports OGG? I hadn't looked. No, you use Stream Elements. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm using too. Yeah. The same thing the chat thing's in. It's in the chat like configuration. We can figure it out. We'll do something. It says it takes OGG, but wouldn't accept the file. I think it had like a click to add and a drag and drop. You tried the click to add to browse for it as well. You may convert it to one of the other formats. Yeah, just to make sure. Maybe they had like old documentation saying that it could support it. In reality, they're like, haha, it doesn't. You try the drag and drop, yeah. Ultimately, though, we'll figure it out. So I'm not going to take this down because I'm just going to play. But I'm going to try a process that I saw online. it was on a white background as well. So that will work for us. Let me put up some of my brushes that I'm not going to use. I'm probably going to use that guy. And I might use that to start. We'll see. Yeah, I might use that. Or this one. I might use this one entirely. Let me put this one up. So the process they used for making the snowflake was really interesting. Let me grab something that I can use as a template. Uh, uh, oh, oh yeah, yeah. That works. So what they did is they used a pencil that they were going to later, I guess, erase, and they made a circle. I mean, not do it right in the middle of my paper. So they made a circle that they used a compass. I don't have one, or if I do, it's somewhere, and we just haven't really taken out to use it. I don't really need it right now, so it's not important. And then what they did is they connected the 6 point. Oh, see, yeah, it is here. My other half couldn't help himself. We have this and hadn't used it yet. I think he has, but we got ourselves a little like drafting kit. It's got a couple of compass options and whatnot, and angle finders and things like that to be able to get those down correct. I suppose I can use that. Oh, hi, other half. Thought I said hi. He's in the kitchen cooking, so he smiled. Let me see. I think there was one that already had something in it. I thought. I could be very wrong with that. Oh, this one? No, that was when you put one in. Let's see. Ouch! Jam spot. Oh, maybe maybe I can use this one. No, why does that one not have an actual tip on it, or does it? It looks like those are both metal. But this will do the effect. I think no, it won't. No, I'm stupid. That's stupid. Don't mind me. This one, no. One of these has, I think I just need to take stuff out and get to the pencil. I don't think any of these have like a nub, like a pencil nub in it. Oh, yeah, this one does. This other one did not. This one does. That'll do what I want. Okay. So what she did is she set it to the diameter of the circle. So let me get it as close as I can to the middle and try to see. I do that and do the circle. Yeah, let me just do a new circle and I'll experiment with that. So I'm just going to use this and I'm going to make a light. We're going to try to make a light one. Maybe I'll just turn the paper. That might be, whoop. Oh. Nope, we're good. Nope. Wow. It is so hard for my brain to comprehend doing this right. Okay, close enough. Okay. Yeah, close enough, I say. So what she did is she put it back in the middle and she put the center point of the compass on the edge of the circle, and the pencil side, she made a little mark, right? And then she turned it. I know she moved the tip. That's what she did. She moved the tip on top of the mark that she made, and she made a new mark. Then she moved the tip to the new pencil spot, turned it, made a little mark. Same thing. We just go around all of this and do it until we meet up on the other side. I have a feeling her circle method was a bit different. Oh yeah, she used a different size. She used a trickster. A trickster. She used a very specific width of compass. How dare she? Okay, well, I'll tell you what the idea was, because that clearly did not work. But the idea, right? So just get this out of the way. That ended up being useless. The idea was turning it around like that would give you the perfect 6 points to make a it didn't work at all. It's supposed to give you the perfect 6 points from the center point to make it where you can perfectly connect the difference, right, between them. That's so stupid. That didn't work at all. It's supposed to make it where you can do a straight line between the sides, and then you can do a straight line across, and then you do a straight line across the third dimension. Anyway, but this gives you your 6 compass points, right, to do your 6-pointed snowflake is what that was supposed to do. Clearly, it didn't function the way I expected. There's lots going on. Hi, other half. Well, you said that. Desert waves. Gotta say hey back. Desert said dance. Happy dance. Hello, even. I liked it. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to try to gauge the center of my circle using the compass. Yeah, it's not bad. So it's basically right there. So if I do that and get in the middle, do like a little doop doop, then I go over on this side. Yeah, it's nowhere near the middle, so we used to get that out there. Okay, so I need to go right through the center of that. Is my center point. Okay. So we're just going to fake it. We're going to go through the middle of this very gently. Okay. And then let me pick a cross section, and I'll do this dealio. And then I'll do my last one like this, and do across this section right. Okay. Okay, so I've got roughly a 6-pointed something, so I'm going to erase. Well, why do I always forget that I can't do that with this pencil? Because it just destroys things. This is an example anyways. I don't care. This is unwrapped. I don't want to fuck with that. Let me put this stuff up so I can be prepared to put everything up. And this went in here. Sure. That's vaguely where it was. There we go. And this went in on top of it. And that's all the pieces? It is all the pieces. Okay. Yeah, clearly the eraser doesn't work. I have this one and it usually does the same problem. Try to be a little more gentle with it and see when that goes. Yeah, all it does is succeed in getting eraser marks on it. So whatever, we're just gonna leave it. We'll worry about it some other time. Again, these are examples. We're just gonna see how it goes. So I'm gonna pick on my Prussian blue. I'm gonna pick on this color to do a little snowflake. That is this guy right here. And what we're going to do is get a really dark gathering of our paint. And I'm going to put a dot right in the center. Doesn't need to be much, but I think I do need to have it a tiny bit wet. So I'm gonna add a little more water and a little bit more. Again, really dark. Just the one little spot in the center. Okay. Okay. So let me clean that off and rinse my brush off. And what she did is she grabbed water, clean water, and she did a stroke from the top and did as straight as she could, just the tip of it to the middle until it touched it, right? And if it gets on the brush, just wash it off, grab a little more water, and just go back over that again. There we are. And then it starts to run up it, right? Then clean off my brush, get just a little bit of water, and I'll pull that the rest of the way back up. And then what she did is she made a little fan at the end, right? And then you clean off the brush, a little tiny bit of water. And she did shapes and all kinds of things. You can do like crosses, right? And you can do like V shapes. I keep a little wall around there. Right? And you can do even further back. You can do all kinds of offshoots. And you don't have to add any paint because you're just drawing from that center line, right? You can do all kinds of offshoots. Just make them kind of match on both sides, right? You know? And then once you've got some of the larger shapes, you can start doing some offshoots, right? So you can do like that number and that number and then that number, that number. You could do some off to the sides, off to the sides. You can do even more offshoots, right? Especially if you've got a thinner brush available. You can do that and make it even smaller and just let it go fainter the further out that it goes, right? Like it's more delicate, just extend these out and then I can do some offshoots this way and that way, and I can do some offshoots this way and that way, and then do some offshoots here and here, and that sort of thing, right? And then you can turn it and you do the exact same thing and repeat that. And then your focus is to recreate the other side as much as possible, right? So let that sneak its way down. And it didn't quite make it all the way down there. And let's go ahead and do our little fan section at the end. And again, all of that sneak its way down there. And then just recreate as much of it as you can from memory or from right next to you, where it is. So I could do kind of the Y shape on the end, the Y shape on the end. And from there, I went out from it and then did like another Y, out from it, and then did another Y. And it's okay if they overlap and touch each other. And we did a really long extension there. And we went down and over, and we went down and over. And if it starts losing some of the pigments, I'll just tilt it and try to get some of it to go down those little offshoots a little bit. If it doesn't, that's fine. It can be a little bit lighter than the other side. And then we did some angles like this, and it almost touched. An angle over here, and it almost touched. And then we did an offshoot from the side, an offshoot from the side. I'm not quite even with where I was with this, and that's fine. Just make some adjustments to it. That, and then they did like a Y thing, and then a Y thing, and then a little cross, and then that, and then that, and then that, and then that, right? And if it starts getting a little too dry in the center, we can always grab some more of it and re-wet it and add a whole new influx of the color. And they can even tilt it and get it down there while it still might be a tiny bit wet. And then you just rinse and repeat, right? So you just do that all the way around the whole side. And we end up with a snowflake. So we're gonna begin right to the middle and just try to get that down there while it's wet. You can have some kind of color coming off of it. You add another dollop of that in there and then tilt it. Come on, do color. Let's wet that a little bit more. Put some water on there like you freaking mean it. There we go. All right. That's going down there now. Okay. Open our little fan. And then just the same idea, just recreate more of it. Make it go offshoot. Make it go offshoot. I have a little offshoot from the bottom one. And then there is a big cross in the middle, actually larger than that. We did little offshoots there. And you basically wanted to mirror it, right? Because snowflakes are symmetrical. They are symmetrical in 6 different directions, which is just amazing that the crystals form that on their own. That is so weird. Right. So I'm not going to do the whole thing, but that's basically the idea. The reason I'm not doing the whole thing is, one, it's a demo from what I found online, and clearly I didn't do it great, and I need to have a better eraser to pull that back. But the idea behind that, right? And I think that it's already complete on the other half of it. And then you can go back over it if you need to darken it or lighten it. And it makes a totally realistic looking snowflake, at least from a distance. If you're better at like your brush control, right? And I am. And you can do all kinds of fun shapes. So it was really cool. I like that process. The other process I saw was completely different. And clearly there's a million ways to do everything, right? The other method I saw was interesting. It did something kind of opposite of that. It did like the background was Prussian blue, right? They added some water and kind of thinned it out. Send it out to further it went away. Right? Just imagine they spread that out even further and went just thinner and thinner and thinner the further in background they went, right? Kind of gradiented out a bit, and I didn't do quite a good job on that. So let me just spread it around and just focus it for a minute. Anyway, and they had themselves a nice like dark section in the middle, and then it just kind of went fainter the further out that it went. And once they let it dry, they went over the top of it with a white wash or a white watercolor, and then just proceeded to, I can't do it now because it's wet, but they built the snowflake shape on top of it, right? And then they were just making like a snowbank along the bottom side and all that. Like they were really zoomed in where you can get up close to the crystals, but they're just a light dusting of smaller crystals that had kind of started to partially melt and were just sticking up out of the bottom a little bit. It had a bunch of like little hash marks to like fake like there were snowflakes on the bottom that were kind of falling apart with a couple good ones sticking out of it. But the one good one that was like the focus of the painting was over the darkest part in the middle here. And that made the whole effect work. Clearly, this method is really good, I think, for making a snowflake that you want to like cut out and use as like an ornament or something. Or if you want to have it on like the center of a greeting card, I think that would be gorgeous doing it that way. I still have a ton of this acrylic white here. She had hand drawn the snowflake design she was going to do as well, but I'll just kind of fakey one, right? Yeah, see, it's still wet, so it's not working. But if it did, you can just pretend with me that we had ourselves a nice, bright snowflake shape, right? And pretend it was dry. This is not. I'm just kind of faking it. Right? And she did the same kind of thing, right? Where she did her little like offshoots and made them match. And did like pluses and did little tiny guys and made some offshoots going that way and Y on the end. And just did the same thing where she matched the shapes going all the way around, right? And then decided to go back over it again. Again, just totally faking the hell out of this. Right? And then after it dried, she did another layer over the top of it. And repeated her same brush strokes. If you need to use a thinner brush, I guess you can do that too. Right? Yeah. So she basically did that and it just got a little bit richer white every time she added a new layer to it on top of it when it was dry, and just layered it all the way up. And that gave it that kind of effect where the outermost part of it was a little bit more transparent and a little bit like the background behind it. But the really sharp, bright, thicker crystal center part of all of the lines became thinner and richer white as she painted back over it, over the center of it. And then in all the corners, she did like, like hash marks. And clearly I need a thinner brush for this. I probably should have used my script brush and it probably would have worked a little better. And I think the paint is a little bit too watered down, but I'm just making excuses for being garbage. It's just And then she did the same thing on the other side and just made a bunch of hash marks and went over all of her areas with a bunch of hash marks to make it look like there was just like a field of little snow crystals that were just peeking out. And clearly they were brighter and thinner than this. I'm just kind of faking it with what I have. And then she had like little tiny, like half versions of a snowflake sticking out. Right. And she made it look like, part of the snowflake was stuck in the mess underneath, like it had partly melted, right? And she just kind of repeated that process over and over again, and it ended up making a really pretty scene, right? Like how she did that was just amazing. Truly, you can probably, I don't have it in front of me, but here, let me zoom in. Sorry. Again, not great, but you get the idea of what she had done. She did like the whole background was this, with no remaining white space. And it just kind of had a large kind of Prussian blue center where the centerpiece would be. And then it just kind of gradiented. Uh, is that a word? Gradiented? We're making it one. She gradiented it outward toward the outer part of the image, had a nice little white section on the bottom, and she made her little snowbanks on both sides to kind of couch it in a little bit, and then made the one really big, pretty accurate snowflake in the middle as like the centerpiece. And it was just really pretty. So the idea is there. It was really good. Let me make sure to clean my brush out really good because that is acrylic paint. I don't want to mess up my good brushes. Okay. But yeah, that was basically it. So I'm sure there's a ton of amazing ways to make a snowflake. I will probably focus next time when I have more time to actually make a snowflake and make it actually look semi good if I can help it. And turn it into like a greeting card. So we really need to improve our greeting card game. So I think that's probably something I'll do. I'll like gently pencil sketch in a shape for a snowflake. I'll use a reference and try to get it kind of similar instead of going off my own brain, which looks good but funky. And then we'll turn that into something next time. But aside from that, I think that's it. Let's take a look at what we did. Started out the stream by finishing off this painting. I'm sorry, I'm still super zoomed in, but you can enjoy it up close. Yeah, so we ended up finishing this. We've got some salt that was on there in some areas, like right there had some salt. Right there. I'm sorry. I already lost it. That one had salt. Oh, that one. That was another one that had salt. Today I added this one that had some salt on it. And you can tell I dried it in a hurry because it didn't quite do the effects right there in there. But those look interesting too. Yeah, we got ourselves a little Voyager silhouette right there, just chilling. Yeah, that came out really nicely. Very happy with that. And then a little example snowflake that was, not great, but there. The idea is good. The execution was not. That's fine. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and head out. It's been roughly 2 hours, so I'm going to go ahead and go. Dude, I will be back on Monday. And the only reason that I will stream outside of the days is if I miss a day and want to make it up, or I decide to randomly game on stream. So if I decide to play a game, you'll see me on. Otherwise, it's Mondays and Thursdays, roughly 4:00 Pacific. But yeah, I'm gonna head out. Also, one of these days, I don't know when, it could be Monday. You might see a guest on the stream, someone we have seen before, who we mentioned earlier. So we'll see. We are practicing, working on getting a setup that will let both of our tables and cameras be on stream at the same time. And then I have like a Discord call going so that you can hear him at the same time as me. We'll try not to make it scuffed, but you know how things happen on the first try. They don't always work, but we'll see. But yeah, we're probably going to be working on greeting cards or something similar to kind of build up our Christmas, like our holiday goodies to give out with gifts to people. So you had a guess on your last stream. I think I saw that on the VOD. I started looking at the VOD. I'm going to go back and look at it. I just haven't given myself the time to go run it, but I will take a look at that and see how that was. It's great having random people on stream. I mean, not random, people you know. People you meet. Oh God, skip the beginning. Why? As we figured out how to get the sound going. Oh, that's just life. It's just how it's going to be. I still have to figure out how to get the Discord sound up. I think I may end up just going without having the music on Monday and just allow my desktop sound to be heard. And I think that'll make it where the Discord audio will come through. But if I can add like Discord as an app, as an audio source, I'll do that instead. So it's a little bit more controlled. So we'll see. I'll play with it in the meantime. Hopefully it'll sound good. We'll see. All right. Let's see if there's anybody online. And let's make sure I didn't paint my elbow. Nope, I'm good. Anybody? Is anybody online doing watercolor? Let's find out. Titch. No. I don't want to hear myself. Watercolor. Anybody we know? Nobody we know. Anybody new? Rating someone new is always a ugh. But we'll see. This person says watercolor, but they're playing Elden Ring. So no there. Ooh. This one has 4 viewers. Froggy comic. That was really loud, buddy. Let me copy that. It says they're trying gouache for the first time, so that's fun. Go give them a visit. Mary Bay Aquarium. Oh, that's nice. Well, let's rate a person, and then yeah, we'll start giving any of the scientific or nature preserve type things a visit when we have no idea. They looks like they accept raids, so yep, I'm gonna go ahead and send you guys on over to them. They raise money for the aquarium and show for these things. Oh, it's for the Twitch stream. Oh, that's really sweet of them. Well, next time. We'll get them next time. I already kind of started the process here. So let's go ahead and say hello to Foggy Fern. Try and gouache for the first time. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later. Bye.